Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Flash forward, issue number 5 of 6. I know a bunch of people all sorts of ticked off. Hey, you didn't review issue number 4. I'm not perfect. Whole lot of comic books came out of that particular moment. Jeez. Anyway, so you want to talk about perfect? Look, I got bedhead. What's going on, man? Anyway, so check this out, dude. This was a really good issue. This was a really good issue. The previous issue was good also. Yes, I read it. I just read it so late. I'm like, I don't really feel like doing a review for this now. So I could talk about that also while I'm talking about this. In the meantime, the people who made this book, flash forward, Chapter 5, Reunion, Scott Lobdell script, Brett Booth does the pencils, Norm Rappamund on inks, Luis Guerrero on colors, ALW's Troy Bateri on letters, Doc Shanner does this gorgeous cover, and In-Hyuk Lee does the variant cover. All right, check it out, baby. In the previous issue, he met a whole bunch of people. He mostly met his ex-wife. Well, his actual wife, Linda, is the main thing, but it's a different multiverse version of her. Lightspeed, they were calling her. Excuse me. Like, that was the main person that he met. But, of course, it was from a different universe, so whatever. It was a really great reunion, though. It was great seeing them both work together with their Speed Force powers. She was perfect in the book because she didn't know who he was, So, like, what, you think you can control me just because we're married in whatever world you are? It's like, that wouldn't work on any world. That is one of the best lines ever. Only topped by a line that happens in this particular issue. So he gets reunited with his kids in the previous issue, and then later on in this issue, he winds up losing them again. Like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? Because he technically gets killed. He should have been killed, but we can pretty much understand why he wasn't killed. Listen, man, this is going to have to be fairly heavy with the spoilers, but I'll tell you when I start to get into them really deep. For now, just a general review. This was an amazing issue of a comic book, man. Holy crap, and I can't wait for how this ends. This is the issue where, and I mean, we all expected it, where he comes face to face with the Mobius chair, and he's supposed to sit down in it, right? The Mobius chair, Morbius. That trailer just came out. It's not my fault. Anyway, the Mobius chair. And, kind of a spoiler, but not really. He doesn't actually sit in it. Good. Good. With all due respect, good. You know what I'm saying? Metron's the only person, in my opinion, who should have ever really sat on the Mobius chair. Batman sat on the chair also. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal in the Injustice books and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, fine, it is what it is. He's Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like the greatest freaking character in the universe. Unless you're somebody else, writing Batman and you're just like, yeah, no, he sucks. Superman's actually the best. Like, it's a weird play back and forth. And the trick of it is, it's like with the Thor's hammer. Like, let's just be realistic with this. I loves me some Wally West, but I don't want him sitting on the Mobius chair because then it's going to be like the Thor's hammer thing. Are you worthy? Come on, man, for crying out loud. Everybody in the Marvel Universe has proven to be worthy, practically. At some point, they're going to say that Tony Stark is worthy. I don't see why he would be worthy, and don't base this based on the MCU, base it on the actual comic books, where he's simply not worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Carol Danvers should be worthy. Peter Parker should be worthy. Freaking whatever, the Moon Knight should be worthy. It's like all these different people should be worthy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can argue that he's not. But like Wonder Woman's worthy. Superman's worthy. Okay, so is Batman not worthy? Maybe you can argue. But like, you're literally going to get to the point where it's like everybody has to be worthy in some way, shape, or form. And that detracts from the idea that Thor was the only person who was essentially worthy. Right? Beta Ray Bill and Captain America I can understand. Everybody else, no. I'm simply not going for it. It just doesn't make sense. But here's like with the Mobius chair. If Batman can sit on the chair and Wally West can sit on the chair and everybody can sit on the chair, it detracts from what the chair is. And it's very different. It's not a worthiness factor, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily. Although here it kind of shows that in many ways it is. It's also the idea of, can you handle it? Can you handle all this infinite amount of reality that's coming towards you? Well, he doesn't sit on it. He simply touches it, and barely. And that alone is enough to give him what he needs. That, to me, was probably the most perfect thing I have seen in a comic book all year. And since it's January 2020, I'm going to count last year also. Seriously, like, that to me was such a great aspect. I love that he didn't have to actually sit on the chair. And there was the comment about, it's a good thing you didn't have to sit on the chair to get the information you needed. Because, yeah, it would have been too much. Wally West is just a regular human. the idea that Batman is equal to one of the new gods, just it's to me it's absolutely absurd. And if you're a super Batman mark, then of course you think that I'm full of crap. But whatever, I honestly don't care. You got your opinion, I don't berate you. Berate me for my opinion, you're a jackass. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. Wally West, and nobody in my opinion should be able to sit on that chair if you are not in and of yourself a new god, which is something beyond what we could possibly properly imagine. So just touching it, to me, like, I can't focus on this enough, man. That was an amazing, really good quality of this comic book. The best line in this comic book, though, best line in comics in a long time, I'm the fastest daddy on earth. Man. You know, like one of the main reasons why I think we all love, and you know, the guys and girls love Wally West so much is because he really is that perfect guy. He's not the kind of guy who's going to, like, you know, search up porn on the internet or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Linda's the only woman for him. And he genuinely loves his kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to, like, ever be tempted by another girl. Meanwhile, the rest of us, let's be realistic. We look at some other girls, we're like, yeah, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? You're a woman, you're married, you know. It's like, I love my husband, but, you know, Jason Momoa is hot. You know, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? This dude, Wally West, is not the type of person to ever look at some other girl and be like, yeah, she's kind of pretty. Be like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. You got nothing on my wife. And like it's actually in his brain. It's not just on his lips that he's saying this. And that's just one of the most heartwarming things about Wally West to me. You know what I'm saying? He genuinely is that perfect husband, perfect dad. You know what I'm saying? He's always got time for his kids. He's never got to say, sorry guys, Daddy's got to work. I'll be right out. He's never got to say something like that, you know? And it's like, wow, man. Only in a comic book, right? Only in a comic book. Anyway, this was fantastic. I'm going to notice something else about this. I actually, go figure, I actually got to get ready to go get my kids pretty soon. This is something that was actually pretty cool. Because first, he beats the crap out of Tempus Fugit. I have wanted to see somebody beat the living crap out of Tempus Fugit for the longest time. I kind of wish he would have did one of those 1 mile punches. You know what I'm saying? One of those light speed punches. Ah, boom, just blow his head up. Stick that in your freaking horn warmers. Oh my God, those freaking drapes over. You got to keep the horns warm, man. Anyway, I love the idea that he beat the crap out of him, but that's not even the big thing here. We're gonna let's take my dislike for Tempus Fugit, this super fake ass Uatu the Watcher guy. Let's look at this from a really cool standpoint. Everything leads to him having to get to Tempus Fugit again. Then he deals with the Mobius chair. After the Mobius chair, he tries to do his thing and he fails completely. And then what does he go to immediately afterwards? He goes back to Tempus Fugit. I don't know if this was done with a different intent than just, oh, you didn't understand what I was saying, now maybe you do. I don't know why Tempus Fugit couldn't just say it. I don't know why. I guess because Wally had to learn it from himself. But he does wind up saying at some point, I guess he had to prime him and get him ready for it. It's funny, the psychosis. It's funny, the psyche. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we've got something that's deep inside of us, we can't admit it to ourselves. And look at the hell on earth that we create. And some of the best movies, some of the best books have been written about that. Yes, I am 100% counting this among those best books. And I'm not just talking about comic books, man. I'm talking about novels. I'm talking about, like, you know, Greatest American Novel and Novel of a Lifetime and stuff like that, you know? The kind of stories that lead you to think of something about yourself and try and, you know, that whole tell me about your mother moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're really seeing in a book like this. I still hate the idea that Wally West had to be redeemed after what I can only call one of the most ridiculous stories ever. And I am talking about Heroes in Crisis. But I dig the idea, because I feel like there's a way to do, if you want to tell that story, there's a way to tell that story without us hating the writer. I I mean, come on, like this isn't like one or two people saying this. This is people just straight up, dude, this guy sucks. I despise him. You know what I'm saying? And it actually took it so I mean, honestly, in my head, in my heart, I wonder, was Tom King's original intention to wreck Wally West in order to tell this story also? But then he decided, maybe I'm not the best person to tell this story anymore because people hate me, so let me move on. I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. You know what I'm saying? Even if somebody comes out and says it, it doesn't mean that it's the truth. So I don't know. I can only take things at face value at how I'm interpreting them. So maybe that was the idea. And King's really only written Batman at this point. You know, all the other stuff he's written 12 issues of Mr. Miracle, which were acclaimed and holy crap amazing, right? And after a while, we just took a turn against King. And I don't want this whole thing to be about King, but like, let's just really look at this, man. People hated him. Dude needed a bodyguard. Met the bodyguard, took a picture with him. Totally cool guy. But like, wow, bruh. So now this story being told to redeem Wally West, that was the whole purpose, that was the solicit for this comic book. The redemption of Wally West. It's really good. Holy crap, this is really good. And mind you, I know that I was a little salty with the first one or maybe two issues, but definitely with the first issue of Flash Forward. Honestly, because like I'm not the type of guy who's just gonna be like, Tom King sucks, I hope he falls into a black hole. Like, that's just not me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to attack anybody personally. So, just simply the work that you do. Just, I didn't like it at all. I hated it because of this, that, and the other thing. I think you saw those reviews. Maybe, if not, go back and look at them, The trick is that this right here, this is not just making lemonade out of lemons. No, like, this is making a freaking rainforest out of lemons. You know what I'm saying? This almost feels like we're repopulating the DC Comics universe with it. I don't want to give this too much praise yet because the final issue isn't out yet. I don't know what's going to happen. The setup, however, is great. The setup is great. What do they call the final thing here? The end in every way you could imagine. Well, that would mean that Wally West would have to die then, because that's what I imagine, the end of Wally West, right? The end of the DC universe? Is this going to actually be the book that somehow leads to the next crisis? Because we know it's coming. We know it's coming, and I'm okay with it. Maybe in some ways, if Wally does die in the next issue, the final issue, it could be a good thing. I mean, like, it's that martyr type story. Wally dies in order for his children and his wife to be saved. And then we just get new heroes, and this new version of Impulse coming out, like, maybe, who knows? Scott Lobdell knows. And I'm sure that, some of the big guys, the top brass at DC know also. But I would surprisingly be okay with Barry dying. I have that belief that in order for a hero to truly be redeemed, he does have to die. He or she does have to die. Why? Because people suck. No, let's just honestly look at this. People suck. All right? I know there's a bunch of people who didn't like the final Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that. But, this is the thing with... this is actually a disagreement my wife and I got into with Kylo Ren. Because she likes Kylo Ren. And the younger generation typically likes Kylo Ren. It's only the old school Star Wars fans. He's emo! Okay, sure. That's the way that he was made. He was emo. He did have a whole lot of emotions. Whatever. This is not about that. But, spoiler, Kylo Ren dies at the end. He sacrifices himself, to actually save Rey. He does what Skywalkers do. He comes back from the dark side. Something that nobody else has ever really done before. You know what I'm saying? Once you go dark side, you don't come back. There's a funny joke there. I'm not going to go there. But I mean, like, honestly, you know what I'm saying? If he would have, done all this stuff and lived, Could the galaxy have been okay with him? Look at what happened in the beginning of that movie. He just killed an entire planet, it seemed like. You know what I'm saying? By himself. I mean, like, he just... No, there were other troops there. You can see them. But the idea is that, like, with all the death and destruction that he's done, he can't live because the people won't be okay with it. Oh, I've redeemed myself. Oh, this is the moment where you go to heaven now. Because if you stay on Earth, you're just going to be depressed and probably wind up committing suicide or be murdered by somebody because people can't let go. You killed my brother. You killed my mother. You killed all these different people. Wow. You know? And you can't necessarily blame these people because they haven't gone through their hero's crisis, or, you know, their crisis and things like that. You know what I'm saying? They haven't come through on the other side yet. You know, like what do we usually see in gangster movies? We usually see some guy who is a really bad person and he goes through life and he winds up, you know, killing all these people. Then he goes to jail. He has some kind of enlightening moment. And then, you know, he gets out and it's like, you know, yay. And then what happens? Some young kid, some young thug, some punk who hasn't gone through that moment yet kills this person. And now what? They have to go through there. It's like a never-ending cycle, you know? The good have to die at some of their highest moments in literature in order to move on. Now, all of this is a waste if Wally West lives at the, you know, in the next issue. It's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But I really feel like they're you know, Lepresti's giving us the idea that, hey, man, Libdell, sorry, that Libdell is giving us the hint, hey, man, Wally's going to die because it's the end of everything that you could possibly imagine. The minimum that we should be able to imagine at this point is that Wally will die. I'm personally okay with it. And what happens next? I think that we're maximum a year and a half away from the next crisis. Probably not even that far. It'll probably happen sometime this year, but we'll see. Yeah. So what happens after, you know, after the next crisis, after this next rebirth, post-rebirth universe that we're in? Maybe we actually get Wally back. We get somebody cool on. Do we need Wade to do this? It would be cool, but I don't think it's necessary. You know, we have this thing in engineering where, you know, it's one thing to create a product and get the patent on something, but then you usually want someone else to take the patent afterwards. Why? Because the initial creator had an idea from scratch on, and it's not really going to advance much beyond that. Once that creator has reached his or her goal, it's usually over at that point. You're only going to do little changes on it from after, but then somebody else can come along and have a better match. It's like now they start with where you ended, and it's like, oh, I could take this to new heights, and yes, they genuinely can. I mean, think about it. The person who gets the patent on this item, is that really the creator of this item? Or do you kind of have to go back to like Sir Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin? Like, how far do you really have to go back? Was it Carl Sagan, I think, who said in order to create apple pie from scratch, you have to create the universe? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Think about that. So, I would be okay with somebody else, maybe Libdell, writing for Wally West in the future. Maybe not. Who knows? Honestly, as long as it's somebody who knows what they're doing and has a great vision for him in the future, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with Wally dying. I'm cool with the direction of this comic book and everything. I really dig on this. Like, this, surprisingly good, you know? But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I was so down on the comic to begin with. Because, like, why does Wally even need to be redeemed? Why did that, you know, whatever thing, the sanctuary thing even have to happen in the first place? But maybe in the end, it all does turn out good. If, like, for a story to be as good as this is right now and to really get the character of Wally West, I'm good with it. I'm genuinely, in my heart, heartfelt good with it. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. I think that was enough. 20 minutes. My God, if you stuck around, you're a freaking hero. Also, a lot of likes on this video would actually let me know that you'd like to have more in-depth reviews of comic books like this and speculations on what could happen in the future. After that, guys, I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.